Lucky for you, that's what I like. That's what I like. Sex by the fire at night. Silk sheets and diamonds, all white. Lucky for you, that's what I like. That's what I like. Lucky for you, that's what I like. That's what I like. I'm talking trips to...
Welcome. For our video project, our group wanted to look at reality television dating shows in China and Australia and explore how these related to issues of cross-cultural communication. We worked on the assumption that the cultural values represented in these programs interact with broader values in the communities that produce and consume them, and thus that they constitute legitimate data for the study of cross-cultural communication. As Lorenzo and Biltvich state, the different genres of RTV are influential in supporting and constructing particular identities and ideologies. We began by looking at what literature in the field of cultural studies has to say about the two cultures. We were surprised to find that so much of the literature, including the work of respected scholars like Edward T. and Mildred R. Hall, Gert Hofstede, Fons Trompenaars, John Moll, Richard D. Lewis and M. Bennett, makes sweeping generalizations about the cultures in Australia, a multicultural country with hundreds of linguistic and ethnic groups, and China, where a fifth of the world's population lives. Their observations sounded dangerously close to stereotypes, so we decided to look a little deeper. We've focused on Hofstede. According to his book, Cultures and Organizations, Software of the Mind, which reports scores on the six-dimensional model for 76 countries, Chinese and Australian cultures have high disparity in power distance, individualism, uncertainty avoidance, long-term orientation, and indulgence. We decided to test these scores against the results of our analysis of a dataset sourced from Chinese and Australian reality television dating shows. For our data, we identified two shows in the reality television dating genre: If You Are the One in China and The Bachelor in Australia.
Lucky for you, that's what I like. That's what I like. Sex by the fire at night. Silk sheets and diamonds, all white. Lucky for you, that's what I like. That's what I like. Lucky for you, that's what I like.
After viewing the shows, we decided that we would focus on the introduction videos made of the female contestants, as these are of a similar length and share many stylistic features, making them practical to compare. We found 8 one-minute-long videos from If You Are the One in 2013 and Season 5 of The Bachelor in 2017. To analyze our data, we used discourse analysis as outlined in Lorenzo and Biltvich, and developed a coding key to measure verbal written linguistic resources in the texts. In each text, we searched for information regarding the contestants' age, where they're from, their occupation, career, personality description, hobbies, family background, educational background, romantic history, why they are single or on the program, why they think they're a desirable partner, what they want in a relationship, what they desire in a partner, and their timeline of expectations. Our results reveal that the texts contain numerous indicators that are relevant to Hofstede's categories. For power distance, which relates to inequalities in power and wealth and the extent to which the less powerful members of institutions like the family accept this inequality, we observed one instance indicating a lower power distance in The Bachelor and 3 instances indicating high power distance in If You Are the One.
I'm looking for a guy who can take the mickey out of himself a little bit,
which suggests a low power distance index, as it expresses a preference for a man who does not take himself too seriously,
让我能成为他呵护下的小公主。
which suggests a high power distance index by allocating a powerful protective role to the male in a relationship. For individualism, which relates to the strength and authority of the relationships whereby an individual is integrated with other members of society, we observe 3 instances which suggest higher and 1 that suggests lower individualism in The Bachelor, and 1 instance which suggests higher and 3 which suggest lower individualism in If You Are the One.
it lets me kind of be myself and be expressive and a little bit quirky and different.
Which highlights the importance of individuality through the words being myself, quirky, and different, and
爱好，将来和他一起过着如同我父母亲般。
which suggests a lower individualism by reinforcing the importance of family ties. Masculinity relates to gender roles in a society, viewed from a sociological rather than biological perspective. This was the category that we found the most indicators for in the data, with 5 instances suggesting masculinity and 7 instances suggesting femininity in The Bachelor, and 6 instances suggesting masculinity and 11 instances indicating femininity in If You Are the One.
I have been waiting, not creating, which means I have been focusing so much on my clients and friends finding love that I've forgotten about myself.
Which suggests masculinity by prioritizing professional achievement over personal relationships.
有些人会认为我很物质，其实我只是想要未来的他有一定经济基础。
Which suggests masculine values by prioritizing material wealth. For uncertainty avoidance, which relates to the degree to which people feel threatened by ambiguity, unstructured or unpredictable situations, we found 1 instance suggesting low uncertainty avoidance in The Bachelor, and 3 instances suggesting high uncertainty avoidance, and 1 suggesting low uncertainty avoidance in If You Are the One.
That is a little bit difficult for men to handle. I'm very spontaneous. I could be in a city today and in a different planet next day.
Which shows lower uncertainty avoidance through its preference for spontaneity,
和他一起过着如同我父母亲般简单平实的生活。
which suggests a higher uncertainty avoidance by expressing preference for stability. For long-term orientation, which relates to the importance of the future and concern with setting long-term goals as opposed to expecting rapid feedback from decisions, we found 1 instance suggesting short-term orientation in The Bachelor and 3 instances suggesting long-term orientation in If You Are the One.
If you ever want to feel like you're completely adored, get a rescue animal.
Which suggests a short-term orientation by linking an event to immediate results, and
所以我不要承诺，我只想让时间去等待和见证，与爱人经历一生所有的考验。
which suggests long-term orientation by foregrounding events in the future over promises. The last category, indulgence, relates to the extent to which a society allows relatively free gratification of basic and natural human drives relating to enjoying life and having fun. We did not find instances in the text relevant to this category. Our results are summarized in this table. Comparing it to Hofstadter's results, we can see some similarities, but also some differences. In particular, the results regarding uncertainty avoidance and masculinity are substantially different. However, more than simply challenging the values of Hofstadter's cultural analysis, our results questioned the very validity of his approach. In particular, the contrasting results of analysis within categories and presence of instances that could simultaneously indicate opposing values suggests that cultures are more complex than Hofstadter's approach allows for. While Hofstadter acknowledges that his scores are generalizations and should not be applied rigidly to individuals, this kind of superficial discourse surrounding culture construes what Baker refers to as basic cultural awareness. Thus, rather than suggesting Hofstadter's results are wrong, our results suggest that the entire field of cross-cultural studies needs to progress to what Baker describes as a more complex understanding of language and culture, and finally to the fluid, hybrid and emergent understanding of cultures as languages in intercultural communication. An analysis informed by this understanding yields a much more nuanced understanding of culture. Accordingly, we went back and recoded one of our data sample videos, this time looking for how multiple and dynamic cultural identities are being construed. In Wang Ying's video, we observed that Wang Ying identifies as a leftover woman, which is associated with the cultural value of being highly selective in choice of partner. However, she states that look, capacity and quality are for reference only. Thus we can see that her identification in this group does not entail a complete acceptance of its values. Wang Ying describes how she is a sound female investor, lived abroad, and is interested in history and culture. She is also shown in the video playing golf. Each of these can be seen as construing dimensions of her character, including success, wealth, internationalism, curiosity, intellectualism, and privilege. Wang Ying states, "From career to life, I love to use 80% ideal thinking accompanied with 20% perceptual thinking. It is the best choice to reduce risk. However, love is not an investment. There is not a perfect measure line." Here, we can clearly see a tension between the professional technical culture she identifies in work and life and a more emotionally driven culture she applies to her romantic relationships. Wang Ying says, "Under strict family education, I am really busy with studying and working." However, many other indicators in her video, including her playing golf and even her identification as a leftover woman, depict her as non-traditional. We can thus infer that her identity has evolved from more traditional to less traditional over time. Collectively, these observations support Baker's assertions about culture and show how intercultural awareness can be applied to data such as ours to explore how simultaneous, competing cultural identities and communities are construed in language. In turn, this understanding is a powerful tool against stereotyping and crucial to successful cross-cultural communication.